All in agreement to that? So we eliminate the other ones that I mentioned earlier, and I need a motion.
Henry, one more.
Yes.
I just want to clarify. I think that we decided with the Operations Committee, it would make sense for the Operations Committee to continue the audit committee function, at least until the end of this year's audit, and then we'll revisit it. But the other Operations Committee's responsibilities have gone away.
Right, and as time goes on, we might revisit all of them that we keep. Okay. A motion to make these committees a committee of the whole board.
I make a motion to make all these changes on the committees, the revised committee structure.
Okay.
Second. That makes
Second.
sense.
Any further discussion?
Forget the second.
Yes, Jim.
When we start moving into the, I applaud the transparency of this in all seriousness, but we're talking about dealing with certain items as a committee of the whole, the board, like policy, for example, and it's going to get long and it's going to get convoluted, and we know, just remember that Krista brought it up not too long ago, that we had met something like 13 of the past 17 Wednesday nights. And I think this is going to perhaps even require additional meetings on our behalf. And is everybody willing to that? Now you probably supposed to have small kids. So I just understand there's going to be a lot of work involved here when we open it up. It had always been that subcommittees had done most of the work in a small group, come to some sort of idea or framework, and then brought it to the group as a whole. So one step is being taken out of that, and personally I applaud the intention here, but I'm just worried about its actual workability.
Ann?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, but I thought I understood with policy that the administration would go through the policies first and rewrite them as needed. They'd go, if they needed instructional policies, they'd go through, the principals would take a look at them, the nurses or whoever needed to, and the directors of instruction.
The intent was not to eliminate a review and a study before it comes to the school board as who does it, and the recommendation was to allow those closest to the implementation of the policy to review, for example, special education director, staff to deal with special education, business, my office, who becomes more in tune as to law changes and things of this nature, and to make, we have a rotating cycle where every 3 years every policy would be reviewed. And the difficulty we have now, why it's been so difficult, is that some of them are substantially out of date, and there's been a lot of rewriting. But if you get into a cycle where you review each policy at least every 3 years, you're fine-tuning and you're keeping up to date. And the best way to do that, in my experience, is to allow the staff who implements these policies, works with them every day, to provide their input and then bring them to the board, and then through your lens as a community member, take a look at them and see if they're clear, articulate, and remove many times some of the educational jargon that occurs so that it's understood and can be implemented. So it was really to alleviate some of the burden that goes on the board. It should really be you should be really delegating that work to your staff. That's what I'm trying to say with it.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, Krista.
As far as policy goes, I think, in all honesty, it's not a whole lot different than the way we do it now, except we have a middle man, so to speak. Whereas the policy will come to committee. We say, yep, we need to send this to whomever, and we send it to them, and it comes back to committee, and we say, yep, needs to go to the board. And I don't think, I mean, I do think that in some particular situations, it is going to extend discussions at the board level. But I think it's worth giving it a shot and seeing what happens. And then if we decide that some, sections B and D or something like, I'm just making them up, need to go before a subcommittee prior to coming to the board, then so be it. But with the instructional ones and the student ones, we're not going to have, I mean, basically those literally come and we proofread them or, wordsmith them or whatever, or ask for legal, feedback on it. But other than that,
So we would end up in our package or prior to the next board meeting or the board meeting that a change in a policy would be presented. We would have it to read. And if we had comments that should be shared with the administration before a meeting, we could pass it on via email. But if it was something that could be done with a word change or something at the meeting, we would have it that way. We'd be
Yeah,
presented at first read
Wouldn't
at the
be
meeting.
presented any differently, I don't foresee, than it is now.
Okay.
I mean, you'd still get the document marked up exactly how it was changed, and we go to
Okay.
first read.
Very good. Okay, any further discussion on eliminating these committees? Okay, all those in favor of the committees that I had mentioned to be eliminated, please vote yea. Everybody? Okay. Okay, before we go on to public comments, I want to review, maybe Lori could help me with this. Did we vote to add a discussion about the petition that was delivered to us? I thought it might be
It
a,
was 14,
was it 3-3 or was it 4-2?
it was by consensus.
By consensus, okay,
There was no motion. It was by
okay,
consensus.
okay. Okay,
You had 3 and then.
yeah, okay. Tonight, getting ready to have public comments, and I want to read a statement that is something that Ann did on the 20th, but it follows along the lines of what she had said. Tonight, we expect to hear from concerned citizens who will be presenting to the board a petition asking for 3 actions. The first action is a request that Mr. Cash resign from the Oyster River School Board. That is his decision, but it is my understanding that he has no intention of resigning. The petition also requests that the school board reprimand Mr. Cash for his Twitter comments. New Hampshire law does not provide for the school board to reprimand or censor one of its members. The board has no foundation in law to do so. The last request is that the board state his or her view on whatever Mr. Cash actions comply with the school district's policy and the standards of the National School Board Association. The board members are free to state their views at any time, but unless they believe this is a matter for the full board to address, now is not the time to do so. Therefore, the board's policy is that the board does not answer questions or responds to comments during the public comment portion of the meeting. We've kind of added it to our discussion item, so there will be some discussion about the petition. But the other thing is that at board meetings with the public comments, the board will recognize individuals, but because of the petition is signed by a group of people, and there might be more than a few people to want to talk to that, but because we're limited in time, and because a few comments about this will be recognized as a comment of the whole group, I would suggest that those people that are going to talk about the petition and the adjunct issues that it discusses, would you please get together, and I'd only like 3 speakers up here for that particular comment. I do not want to see a litany of the same thing over and over. We're very intelligent people up here, and we understand where you're coming from, and 3 people who have put the petition together, I think, would serve the purpose of informing us about your point of view and everything. And within that, I want to set a time limit over the whole comments, which a policy allows to do, and I would like to only limit total comments on all issues which are being presented tonight to be a half an hour. I think that would be sufficient for us to hear you and listen to you, and so with those understandings in line, I invite the first person to speak. Is there a microphone we can pass him?
Doesn't want that.
What's that?
Should we provide a mic?
You can just pull off.
With the changes. Yeah.
We just got to give Roger a little more lead time.
We didn't start the timer, don't worry.
during penalty time.
Half an hour will start after he gets up there.
Don't start yet.
If you take any more time, you're going to get a yellow card.
And then a red one. Would you?
Oh, excuse me, I want to add one more thing. Any one speaker is limited to 3 minutes, which everybody's heard before, too.
I didn't start yet.
Not yet, but I'm looking at the
Pass
clock.
out one to each board member. Mr. Levesque, you don't get one because you already have it. Wait a minute.
Go.
There should be 7 of them.
It's okay,
And there are
we
only
can
6
share.
of you here.
We
Would you
can
give
share.
one to Megan? And then she can give it back to you. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
Go.
now. My name is Roger Spidell. I live at 7 Noble K. Peterson Drive in Durham. The handout you are receiving is the Manchester Union Leader article about the 2011 New Hampshire Schools of Excellence. Page 1 is the article. Page 2 is the analysis of the cost per pupil and the teacher-student ratio of the schools of excellence. And page 3 is an analysis of the cost per pupil and the teacher-student ratio of Montgomery County, Maryland, the #1 county in the state, ranked first in the nation in education. New Hampshire ranks 28th. Notice that the New Hampshire Schools of Excellence and the Montgomery County schools each spend $4,000 per student per year less than Oyster River. That amount would save our taxpayers $8 million a year, and do it with educational excellence. I understand that all school systems are different, but at the same time, they're all the same, with buildings, teachers, students, parents, and taxpayers. The schools mentioned above do what they do at a cost $4,000 per student less than Oyster River. If they can do it, we can do it. I support this school board. I support this superintendent. Now, show the citizens of Oyster River School District that in the next budget process, you can create educational excellence at a reasonable cost. I've talked with over 25 good school systems all over the country, from California to Michigan to Florida to Maryland to New Hampshire, and none of them spend as much money per student as Oyster River. Almost finished. Keep the LL Bean concept in mind. Create a good product at a reasonable price. At the present time, our educational product is unreasonably priced. Show everyone that you have the gumption to do the necessary things to get the school budget under control within an environment of educational excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.